Hello and welcome to another episode of SuperCoach Insider. My name is Ben.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to our Brisbane Lions team analysis.
Yes, it is.
The number one team in the comp. My favourite time of year.
Number one team in the comp. Do you remember that time that we went to the finals last year and they got lost?
Remember that time that the Brisbane Lions went out in straight sets?
I remember that. It was good.
Hey,
good times for me.
We played finals.
And I supported you through the hard times, is what I like to say. I was there cheering them on when GWS stole a victory with a throw.
Yeah, I bet you wish the Lions beat GWS now, didn't you?
I really do, because we would have smacked the Lions.
Anyway, we both cried together.
We did.
Needless to say. So, look, today we're going to go through the Brisbane Lions and look at their premiums. We've had a few questions come through already.
We have.
Let's analyse one of the greatest teams, and they are they're entertaining to watch, Chris.
They are entertaining to watch.
They're not boring.
I tell you what, they put bums back on seats now, didn't they? It's a year's a long time in football.
Yep.
But the Lions all of a sudden got a crowd going back to the footy.
They did, and usually they had to give tickets to the homeless. For that kind of action.
Usually.
Bums on seats. Anyway.
That's good.
So today we're going to talk about the Brisbane Lions, and for the season review, first little shout out to my little folder here. So I've got some little stats going on. If Chris can just switch that monitor, that'd be great.
Yep.
Little bit of stats we're going to read through just to keep us on task. But this folder here, guys, also a little quick disclaimer. I've also got the nice little background to this one, just to keep me honest, in case I start picking it up.
Visual joke. Those people on the podcast.
Visual joke, and for those that are offended, I haven't sworn either, so it's just a visual.
Okay.
So there you go. Okay, so for the Lions, they were actually first for clearances, which may surprise you, but Lockie Neal coming into that side
Obviously, yeah.
was huge, and Lions as well. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that he didn't contribute anything
pun
this
number
year.
two. Pun number two. Get in there.
Fifth for contested possessions, and they were actually 17th for uncontested, which to me says that there's actually a lot of room for improvement. So they didn't have a lot of uncontested possessions. They're not like Collingwood, just kicking the ball around to no one. So I think there's a real a point for improvement, especially for SuperCoach, because those uncontested possessions, you can really rack up the pill like Collingwood do. So there is room to improve there. And again, they were actually 15th for effective disposals.
Okay.
So there's a lot of room for them to improve. So fingers crossed they actually do make some inroads this off-season. The good thing was they're actually third for metres gained, which meant that, sure, they didn't have as many disposals or as many uncontested disposals, but they just took it on. Yep. And the metres gained, which meant that every kick that they actually did was with purpose. And as a Lions fan, watching them then kick it backwards for about 5 years and going nowhere, so pleasing to see.
Yeah. This year, you must have been just stoked with this year.
Stoked. So stoked, hashtag blessed. And they were last for turnovers in a good way, which meant that not only were they being effective with metres gained, but they were turning the ball over the least. So it's kind of one of those 50-50 ones where you're like, yes, they didn't have as many uncontested possessions.
Did they beat Collingwood at all last year, though?
Well, we're playing them twice this year, so let's see how that goes.
I can't wait. That's our easiest fixture on our double-up games, by the way.
It's okay. We're playing Hawthorn twice. It's fine.
It's all good.
It evens out.
It evens out.
That's
so good.
But here's the good news.
There's great news, actually. I think there's a lot of upside with a lot of their players for SuperCoach.
Huge upside. Brisbane are one of the most SuperCoach relevant sides, and I will explain why. Not just for premiums. They actually have the 6th easiest draw according to Champion Data.
Which is crazy considering where they finished the season.
Crazy. Considering Carlton probably has the 6th hardest. It is absolutely hilarious. So we have double ups against the Suns, the Hawks, Collingwood and Geelong. And yes, Collingwood and Geelong may not be that great, but as a Lions fan, we play Melbourne at home, we play Richmond at home, we play Collingwood, we play Hawthorn, we play Geelong. We're going to make some money this year. Not only that, we have some primetime TV for a club perspective. Maybe not so much for winning and SuperCoach.
It's about time you got back in the black, I tell you that.
It's about time we made some money.
Yeah, definitely.
It's all about the coin.
Good on you guys. I'm very happy for you. I'm actually super happy because the Lions being up and about, it creates football again in Brisbane.
Yes.
And
it's
as someone that obviously has lived here for basically 15 years of my life, having that atmosphere and community and people talking about the Lions. You go to a barbecue and your mates are talking about how good the Lions are going.
Yeah.
Like, that's really good because it just wasn't happening for 10 years.
But it annoys me. It's like, where were you when I followed the Brisbane Bears? Where were you? The Bears times.
Who are you, bro?
Who are you?
Anyway.
But they have the round 12 draw, the bye. So round 12 bye, which isn't favourable. It's a
Better
pain.
than the 13, but it's a bit of a pain that round 12 bye.
It's a little bit of a pain, and it's interesting. So, funnily enough, though, and here's why I'm actually tempted, even though he does have the round 12 bye, Lockie Neal and a few of these other premiums, because their first 15 rounds are quite favourable. They play 3 of the top 4 sides. Yes, probably not ideal. 1 side between 5th and 8th, and then 10 of the teams they play are outside the top 8.
That's good.
That's a great way to start the year, and that's why I'm thinking about actually starting Lockie Neal, if I can manage it, even though he has the round 12 bye, compared to GWS who have a tough start to the year. Someone like Lockie Neal could absolutely go ham.
I currently have Lockie Neal in my team, and I don't think I'm actually going to let him go. I don't think he's going to be in many teams. I think he's going to be really, really unique to start the season. So having him is going to be a huge point of difference. And currently, the way that my team is set up, I'm actually basically running a POD Lockie Neal versus Gawn. And I think points-wise, they're very, very similar. So I don't think I'm going to lose on points, but I will be that little bit extra unique in my midfield. And hopefully the rest of it will balance out.
Hopefully that settles out. But they do have a tough start to the SuperCoach finals. They play GWS away, West Coast at home for those 2 rounds. So they're kind of hard rounds, but then they play Gold Coast away and Essendon at home. So they're not too bad if you can get through the first 2 rounds of your finals.
Excellent.
Which is good. So my year-end prediction for the Brisbane Lions is, look, they are playing a few more Victorian sides in the double-ups and that kind of thing. I'm hoping that we finish 5th to 6th, and that's a realistic expectation. I think we'll still make finals. I think we'll get the home final from that. I think it's unrealistic to expect that they had such an easy draw last year.
Yep.
And I know they have a fairly easy draw at this point as far as champion data goes, but I think I'm hoping we naturally grow, and I'm hoping that we do improve, but teams are now wary of what we can do, and they're wary of our strengths, which means that I have an expectation, hopefully, to come 5th or 6th, and then try and make a charge from there. But we'll see what happens.
I think that there's every chance that you guys make top 4 again.
I'm hoping, but
I do consider you guys to be in the 8.
Yeah.
I'd be super surprised if you guys drop out of the 8.
Correct, and that's how I'm feeling, and I'd like to say we'd be top 4, but I think a realistic way would be to hope for top 4 and to say, look, 5th and 6th, I think is kind of where we sit.
Excellent.
Okay, so list changes. You had Squeezy Taylor gone to Sydney, Tom Cutler gone to Essendon, a couple of fringe players.
They weren't really getting the games there anyway, and they weren't adding much to the roster. They're probably costing a lot as well.
Well, yeah, and the problem is that we had such a healthy list. And with healthy lists, that means that people can't play games. And unlike, say, Carlton, who had a big turnover, a lot of Carlton's players have already played games, which makes their rookies irrelevant, basically, because there's no one there. Whereas Brisbane, so many rookies, so many people who haven't even played a game. And we're talking guys that have signed on to 2021, 2022, and they're going to get some options. They have to get played games. And as soon as some injuries fall, the Lions have so many rookies that are SuperCoach relevant.
And they're top-end rookies, too. They're talented. They're
we're talking
picks,
people in the top 2 picks in the draft that they picked up, so in the top 2 rounds. Anyway, so and then ins, you got Cam Ellis-Yolman from Adelaide, Graham Birchall from Hawthorn, and Callum Archie from Gold Coast. So again, I think those 3 options do provide some real value for the Lions. I think Cam Ellis-Yolman's that big body sort of midfielder. I think
absolutely needed by Brisbane.
I almost see him like a Robbo kind of replacement in a way, like the guy that just attacks the footy so hard. Robbo's getting older; he can't always do it.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if Robbo actually pushes. Maybe he's great in the role he did, but maybe he'll push more to that forward mark.
Yep.
It sucks that he's a midfield only, though. Love Robbo, love everything he does. So it'll be interesting. And I think Birchall, depending on what he does, I don't see him as the Luke Hodge replacement, even though some people do see him that way. I can't see him as that quarterback off halfback, but I see him maybe just adding that depth and that structure and that sort of cool head.
I think just his footy IQ. Even just in training or behind the scenes, I think it was a great pickup because regardless of if he plays games or not, he will influence the side. And it's probably cost them absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I'm thinking he'll probably be more like a back pocket kind of,
And he's there for a coaching role, right? Yeah. So he's going to transition into coaching. He's going to follow the same footsteps as Hodge.
Yep.
So I think that it was a great pickup. Wouldn't have cost them much at all.
Nothing.
Can't really go wrong there.
Nothing at all. So, all right, let's get into the premiums. First one is the main man, Lockie Neal. He's a 658k midfielder. He is definitely costing a premium. So, we did pick it last year. I think you started with him as well.
Yes.
Probably one of the only good decisions you made, Chris.
Thanks very much.
Averaged 121 for the year. He had 88% time on ground, 78% disposal efficiency, which is awesome for a midfielder. And you have a look at it, though. He had 7 scores of 140 plus, including a 177 and a 190.
Yep.
So as far as midfielders that can burn you, he has a high ceiling.
Yep.
And if you don't have him and he goes big, you're going to be left behind.
I agree. I think that he's one of the ones this year that's going under the radar. People are just forgetting about Lachie Neale again.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't played 4 years every single game. Averaged, didn't he? For 3 years in a row last year, he averaged 110 straight. This year he comes down and does 121.
Yep.
And people are overlooking him.
People are overlooking him.
I can't believe it.
And here's why I'm liking, and this is why I'm liking players like Dusty Martin, like a Neale, is because Lachie Neale has played 130 out of a possible 132 games. And that's in his last 6 seasons. Mind you, he averages 113.7 over the last 4 seasons. So over 87 games, he's averaged you 113.7.
That's insane.
Last year, he averaged 131.9 in his first 9 rounds.
He's going to burn
before
people.
he even got some attention.
He's going to burn people, Bear. If
Huge.
you don't have him early, you're going to be really regretting it.
Especially with a pretty good draw, I think they're in some trouble. So you have a look at their draw. Yes, they have a few tough teams to start with, but teams outside the 8, 10 games outside the 8 by the time you hit like round 14 or something like that. It's just crazy. So Hawks, yes, but Brisbane, the bunny side. Hawks haven't beaten us in a couple of years now, which is amazing. North Melbourne, Adelaide, so they're both on the down as well. Collingwood's a hard one. Dogs are probably hard. Sydney, I reckon they'll be struggling as well again this year.
Sydney, I can't see them back in the 8 this year.
No,
I think it's
me
another
either.
development year for them.
Geelong and Richmond are the hard ones, yes. Port Adelaide, Suns, Fremantle, I think, are probably around that mark as well, but they do lack midfield depth.
They're trying to play the kids now, who knows what they're going to do.
They lack midfield depth, which is what's happening there. So North, Melbourne, Hawks again. So by the time you kind of come into their bye rounds, they've definitely got some good opportunity to score.
Yeah, so if you haven't sold you on Lachie Neale yet, there's about 50 reasons why you should pick him up. But at least have a look at him in comparison to what you've got on your side. The unfortunate thing is obviously with this price, you're looking at Dunkley, McRae, obviously Mitchell and Danger, that's slightly cheaper than that.
Yes.
Patrick Cripps. Patrick Cripps actually tailed off under Teague. So it'd be interesting to see how Cripps pulls up this year. I think he's probably going to be in most teams.
Yeah, he was probably a little bit battered as well. It's more his ceiling, I think, that the guys have big ceilings.
I love bringing up Cripps in any conversation. We get to talk about Brisbane because we can talk about the time that he absolutely tore you a new one.
I forgot about that. I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
When I was boasting at halftime.
Yeah, halftime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, halftime.
Lachie Neale's like on 100.
Great.
Yeah, he's going great. Next minute, got stuffed.
Didn't he get like 140 or something in the second half?
He got not much. Yeah, 140, and then Cripps went like 190 odd, so that was great.
That's good. Good gear.
Yeah, thanks for that. So the next one we'll go with is a Dane Zorko. It's funny though because Lachie Neale went absolutely massive early, and then okay, so let's just pay attention to Lachie Neale, and then Dane Zorko, who started off slowly, just went absolutely massive. And Dane Zorko, another consistent performer. He's played 150 out of 154 games in his last 7 seasons.
That's great.
And he averaged 113.8 in his last 16 rounds. So it's like, okay, start off a bit slow. People start to pay attention to Lachie Neale, being like, oh, let's just put a bit of attention this way. And then Dane Zorko just reminds them of how damaging he is, because once he gets forward of centre, Zorko is the guy that will just hurt you.
Well, he got absolutely towed up at the start of the season. His scores in the start of the season were really, really bad.
So bad.
And then completely turned around. So people who had him early ended up trading him out. And then
Typical fashion.
So the double burn just keeps hurting.
Yeah, double burner.
I don't think that he's someone in standard that you can pick. I mean, I think he's undervalued. And I think he's probably maybe 5 to 10 points undervalued on his price. But is he still going to be competing with those top tier mids?
It's interesting, but here's a funny one, and I'll get to this later on, but I actually think Zorko could be overtaken this year. Funny fact, though, as well, Lachie Neale, I think, will be a top 4 pick regardless. I think it's looking at McRae, Gawn, Grundy, and Neale. I think will be the top 4. The only one that could probably shake that is if someone's so ballsy to go Titch.
Well, in our
so ballsy, no one will do that.
No one will do that.
But I think Neale has to be a top 4 consideration.
Yeah, I see. Like depending on where you are in the draft, I'd take Tom Mitchell first round for sure.
Yeah, or
if you're like 8,
if you're 8 pick or 8 to 12,
that's a value pick.
Happy days. Even you
got to take that risk.
Even Oliver around an 8 to 12 is a great value. Got to do it. Anyway, so that's
There's
those
so
guys.
many premiums, so we do have a lot to get
There's
through.
not many premiums. Jared Lyons, 535k midfielder. I would not pick him in standard. However, it is worth noting.
He went on a big run, didn't he?
Went on a big run. Averaged 113.46 in his last 13 rounds. 124.7 the last 7.
Wow.
With big scores of 139, 141, 142, and 165 in 2019.
He can rack up the pill when he wants to, that's for sure.
He can. Daniel Rich for a premium. Highest return he's ever had, which is interesting, was used a lot for the kickouts, and that hurt a fellow person called Witherden. And we thought Witherden was getting the kickouts. Unfortunately, Daniel Rich did, because he can kick it short and he can also belt the ball out 70 metres from goal. And that was the benefit that the Lions used.
With penetration as well.
Yeah, and also probably reduced the turnovers from that. So, look, I think that's pretty good. So he had 16 scores over 92 and 10 scores over 100.
Would we say not standard relevant, though? Because there's no guarantee that he can return that again, right?
People have been mentioning him for standard. I just think with, the first buy round, you're better off going a Laird or even a Sicily or someone like that.
Yep.
Rich is consistent, but if he loses that kick-out role to a Witherden or someone else this year, he's gonna drop, and that could be a split second.
Absolutely right. They could literally change that small part of his role, and then all of a sudden Daniel Rich is now an 85 average.
85.
And it's not worth that risk, in my opinion.
With the buy round, it's not worth it. With the price compared to other premiums, it's not worth it. Even in draft, I would let other people take him at that high 90 average.
I'd pick him at, like, if it dropped to like a 90 average defender. Like, if people are overlooking him, then you'd pick him up.
Yep.
But I don't think you pick him early.
He's not going to hurt you. His ceiling's not high enough to hurt you. You'll still be able to pick him up if you really want him later in the season at a decent price, because he's not going to hurt you.
And someone will tag him for sure. And he folds like origami under pressure.
Probably. Jeez, he does have traps for days. Okay, I'm going to go for the rookies now. We're going with Brendan Starcevic.
Starcy.
He is a defender. He's 147k. This is my first rookie that I'm going to mention, simply because it's hyped. And I don't like to normally get around hyped players. He played one game for only a 34 in 2019. However, he has been killing the preseason. He's been spoken about many times. He was dogged with injury when he was picked up. His 18th pick he was in 2017. He has had continuity in the last 4 months. Mm-hmm. He didn't go away in the off-season. He decided to stay back and work on his fitness and start training early. And that's paid dividends. By all reports, he is tearing up the track at the moment. They tip him for that half-back flank slash in that midfield role. He is more expensive, but for me, he's in my side at the moment simply because I think that if he's going to get that kind of role, then I think he could do well. It's a wait and see for me.
It's definitely a wait and see, because I don't know who he squeezes out at this stage.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, the losses there, Taylor wasn't really playing anyway.
No.
Neither was, what's his name? Long boot man.
Tom Cutler.
Cutler wasn't really playing. He was in and out of the 22 anyway.
Out.
So is there a spot available for him? Potentially. He's definitely high on my radar. He's definitely on my preseason watch list.
But there's also a lot of competition.
And it comes with 147k instead of 123 or
Correct.
cheaper.
But I do think the defensive rookies look a bit thin at this stage. And I'm sure it's so early that things could pop up.
Yeah.
But I would rather, if I could find the 50k, I'd rather a Hill over him.
Yep.
Simply because Hill's average over 80 pretty much most years. So, but look, he's the first one there. I think Eli Smith is the second one on my recommendation list. I love Eli Smith.
He's currently in my team just because I want to see him get games. But
Me
again,
too.
where's the spot?
I think it's going to happen though.
I think he will play.
I think it's going to happen.
He should have played last year, but he got injured, didn't he? But he's coming back from injury.
Not Cutler, because Cutler was the one that went before. I think he might free up a few different options. I can't think of the guy's name anymore. Played back pocket and played the role sort of stuff. Anyway.
Yes. Towards the end of last year, played most of the games.
I can't think of his name.
I remember him.
I think there's a few.
Ainsworth.
No, Ainsworth I think might keep his role. He could be replaced. Sounds like Cutler. That's why I can't keep thinking of Cutler. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll get to it. Eli Smith, though, picked 21 in 2018. So this is another high-round draft pick that hasn't played football yet.
Yep.
Because there hasn't been a spot.
And the Lions were chuffed when they got him too. They were really
so chuffed.
They were really happy he fell to their pick.
He's extended his contract to the end of 2022.
Yep.
So he's shown faith in the club. The club now, by all means, will have to repay that faith with some games.
Yep.
At some point, it's got to happen. You don't extend
It
someone.
may not be round 1, but I think he gets games this year.
Yep.
He'll
so
definitely be playing this year.
I see him getting opportunities. So the club did say he's been consistent football in the club's undefeated NEFL side in 2019, and he'll be pushing to make his senior debut. Noble said that he has grown as a footballer during his first year of the club, and he's returned in terrific condition this preseason.
Awesome.
That is good news for me. He's one to watch, and
his forward eligibility as well.
Forward mid, 123k. I think just throw him in there for now and wait and see.
Absolutely, this is what I'm doing. I actually think there's a big chance that at some point he gets games, and if he goes well in the preseason, it could be round 1.
Well,
if he smashes preseason, there's every chance that he lines up round 1.
I think so. And he's played. He's done his dues. He's waited there for a year. That's why I put him ahead of, say, Devon Robertson. Because even though he was tipped to be a top 10 pick, and yes, he didn't get picked in the first round. Lions, what a great steal, mind you, because they wanted midfield depth. They got him at the start of the second round. Like, you cannot get much luckier than that.
Well, and I think that Lions are now in an actual position where they can wait to play these guys. They don't need to play them necessarily straight away. They're not developing youth like they were 2, 3, 4 years ago, where they were just trying to develop.
They were throwing them in underdone.
Oh, absolutely, they were. This is what Gold Coast do, right? So they're throwing their kids in.
Yeah.
And then when they don't produce, then they go, oh, well, fair, like, what do we do now?
Whereas at the Lions, they're actually doing their time. So
it's
guys like
Hawks.
Eli Smith, and that's why, because of that, that's why they're killing the NEFL, because they have high draft picks that are doing their time, and they're bulking up, and they're learning the strategies, and they're playing with some of the other Lions players and everything else, and that's why they're undefeated.
Well, it's straight out of the Hawks playbook, which is where this comes from. But Alistair Clarkson very rarely plays first-year rookies, right? He usually develops them in the VFL, gets them to a point where he's comfortable that they understand their role, and then plays them. And you get guys like Warple having huge breakouts.
Because you build them up for success.
Yeah.
They know the role, they know the team, they know what's expected, they've had a bit of time to practice it, they've had a bit of time to build their fitness.
Absolutely.
They are built for success. So when they actually get in there, they're just doing everything else as per usual, and they're doing well. So they go, oh, this is actually pretty good. Whereas if you throw them in there half done, it's just like a blue steak. You tap, and all of a sudden they go, oh, this is it.
Yep.
And they're underdone.
I agree. So I'm really looking forward to Eli Smith. I think that he definitely gets
So I think those two are probably the two to watch. Devon Robertson, 117k mid, basically for his price. It's a top 10 draft pick at 117k.
Yep.
If he does get a role. And the thing is that he slid, but he was the captain of the WA side. He could easily get opportunities. He claimed the Lark Medal as the best player in the Under-18 Championship.
Yep.
And he was also the captain of All-Australian when he averaged 30 disposals and 5 clearances a game in the championship. So he's
star.
Yes, there was a knock on some of his disposals, but
that's not going to matter when you're racking up that much.
It's all about opportunity, and the Lions still have a healthy list. Touch wood to this point, a healthy list. And I only see one major player that's actually injured at this point in time, and that's Alan Christensen. Quick side note, Alan Christensen had minor back surgery. He also had back surgery when he came from Geelong to Brisbane. So someone I would actually probably avoid at this point in general, even in draft, even though he did well at the end of last year and I thought he was really valuable and he got another contract. But Christensen, more back issues isn't a good sign for me.
Not a great sign.
So the next one is Tom Joyce.
Joyce.
Hello, Joyce.
Joyce.
Came a little bit underdone. He was picked 40 in 2018. He was starting to find his feet in 2019 and apparently came close to senior debut. So he is one to watch. I don't know if he'll hold his spot, but look, hey, keep an eye on him. The next one I actually don't mind is Connor Balladin, and he's a 123k forward. He's a big boy.
He had that defender forward swing last year, but
now he's in that forward line. He's a big boy, and he's 200 centimeters. He's 101 kilograms. Problem is, though, key forwards, they could probably use another key forward, Brisbane, if they wanted maybe not to run with such a small forward line. He's shown development and was part of the undefeated NEFL side as well. My only problem is being that key tall, he probably won't score so well.
And I don't like the idea of them being less mobile. If you're going to play Oscar, Big O, and him, that's a recipe for disaster in the forward
Correct.
line.
It would only happen if probably
Oscar goes down.
Oscar takes the main one probably, and Steph, who is getting older, may not.
Aren't you going to get games anymore? Or
I don't know. I think he got delisted and picked up again, so maybe Archie's not all they thought they could be. We'll
Fair
see.
enough.
The next one is this is one I really do like. Corey Lyons, and he's
brother of Jared Lyons.
Brother of Jared, the other brother. He's a 102k midfielder, and this is why he's so relevant, is because he's developed over 3 seasons. He's been developing in the NEFL. He's been absolutely bashing the door down for senior debut. However, last year he was behind his brother, Jared Lyons, Lockie Neal, and Berry as the inside midfielders.
Yep.
He could not get an opportunity because the Brisbane Lions were not injured last year.
Yeah.
If there is an injury, he is someone that could come in as an inside midfielder and average you well in a good role.
I reckon.
And for 102k,
As
I would
a
look...
basement price rookie, you got to keep an eye on him anyway.
Yep.
Just
We need more
unfortunately,
people.
probably not going to be round 1 again. But I think throughout the season, you will find
if
him.
opportunity arises, he's
Yeah.
102k.
Circle him now.
Oh,
I think he's got a
I
role
would
to
watch
play.
that. And not only that, he's done his time for 3 years.
Yep.
So at some point, the Lions are going to be like, here's an opportunity. Let's see what you do with it. And maybe he'll get a run of 6, 7, 8 games, and then they'll decide if he stays on another
Yep.
year or if they cut the fat. So it's better than a 102k never played or never trained with the Lions sort of rookie.
Yeah, definitely.
And the last one, Sam Skinner, 111k forward, had 3 knee recos though. He's cheap if he can get a good run in. He plays forwards and backs. He was in consideration a couple of times in 2019, just didn't get a game. I'd watch an eye out for him. However, 3 knee recos, you're playing with fire, even at 111k. Preseason watch, breakout contenders. I've put these together.
I love the first one on your list because I've just been waiting to talking about it.
Jared Berry. Okay, first breakout contender, Hugh McCloggage.
Yeah, my boy.
5'10" midfielder.
I love him.
Here's the thing though, is that he's so good, mind you, but he was on the wing. He was in contention for All Australian on the wing. For me, in order for him to actually become more standard relevant, he would actually have to
Get inside.
I
know.
Unless, he just
He's
has
more
to
valuable to them on the wing though.
He is.
Because they need a good user on the wing.
which is why I think it's probably a dangerous scenario for anyone considering him. Draft, I think he'll stay around that 100 mark. And here's the good thing. He does have a good ceiling already. He's only played a few seasons, but he has a good ceiling already. He had 5 scores over 114 plus. So that upside is real. And he has the polish and the clean disposals that as they start to progress, he is their most likely to average 115 plus outside of Neil.
One of our great followers and friend, Jamie Hall, actually is raving about him and he wants to lock him into his starting side. Very, very, very big on him.
Yeah.
He's one of 2 that, in my opinion, with the right role, can go that next level and be that 110 plus averaging player. I consider him and Hewitt basically par for course.
Ooh.
I think that they both could get that next
Don't do
push
that.
into the next realm this year, but
I'll let you have
is
Hewitt.
it worth doing this year with the top end?
I'll let you have Hewitt. Yeah, but the problem is that the top end on the midfielders for standard is huge. And
That's what I mean.
There's such a
110
big gap.
plus is probably not enough to be on your start consideration.
I think the upside is real. I actually have him down, and I said don't be surprised when he out-averages Zorko this year, when he averages 107 to 110. That's probably my expectation.
I think that definitely 105 plus is very achievable.
Yeah.
110 plus he can do if he gets, but it's roll.
But mine's,
It's all
I
roll.
think it's 107. I've just tipped him down as a 107 to 110 as a prediction. But I think he outscores Zorko. That's a good bet for you.
I don't want to make that bet because I
Me
think that will happen.
Me either. But yeah, I don't think he'll be top 10. So therefore, I don't think he's standard relevant for draft. I think you could get him maybe around his mark, if not maybe slightly ahead.
Depends on if they're a Brisbane fan or not.
Well,
I'll be jumping. I jumped on McCluggage and Berry last year, and I did not regret it at all. I loved those picks. They were fantastic for me.
So yeah, there you go. Next one is Jared Berry. Averaged 99.3 his first 6 rounds with had 500s.
He was on fire.
Including a 115, a 119, a 121. He's starting to get that ceiling, but he had a little bit of an inconsistency. Had some injury issues as well, which stunted the consistency.
As 100% injury related.
Yep.
I'm really hoping that he comes out and just goes bang this year. All the potential in the world, big body frame.
Well, apparently
it's exactly what they need in there.
Him and McCluggage apparently tearing up preseason again. So
great.
I'm big on them. He looks like a hard worker. He's
he's their workhorse. He's their JPK. He's the guy that's going to get in there and do all the dirty work so that you can get your McCluggage.
He does the dirty
outside.
work and gives it to the Rolls Royce on the outside.
Absolutely.
Super stoked with how they're going. So that's those ones. The next one for preseason watch and breakout contenders, I actually have Harris Andrews. He's a 449k defender, so he's awkwardly priced. He had 7 scores of 91 plus. He had highs of 117, 118, 131. But the problem with Harris Andrews this year is he had lows of 40, 56, 56, and 60.
Didn't he have he got concussion
That
issues?
was the year before when he was killing it. So, look, it's interesting. He is definitely one to watch because he could easily do a rant and go on the 90s average. Easy. He could be a 90 to a 95.
Yep.
He could do well. So in 2018, he did average 88.4, and that's including him getting knocked down on 22. So it's not unrealistic that he couldn't average you 90 plus or even be a top 10 defender. He also did have 10 scores of 91 that year, including a 115, a 130, and a 152. So he does have a ceiling. It's just whether it's going to be his year. So for me, I would be watching him for draft relevancy.
Draft relevant, definitely.
Huge.
Yeah,
Because what did he average? You're looking
82.
at 82. And there's so much upside there. Even if you picked him at that sort of 88 average, I'd be happy with that still.
Absolutely.
Around there. There's upside, and you'd hope he'd sort of get around that again. Witherden is a very interesting one, and we had a follower. I know, but here's the thing. We've had a follower even message. If you were ballsy enough to say Witherden was going to be a breakout last year, then surely you have to look at him in at least his preseason role this year.
Oh, I definitely think that it's a valid point to look at him.
With the role.
But again, if he's not taking kickouts, you can't do... that's it.
Yeah.
If he's taking all the kickouts, or if Daniel Rich gets injured...
Yes.
You'd have to lock him in.
Yep, go for it.
But that's it. That's the only two reasons why you would actually do it.
Next minute, Birchall sweeps in for a season.
Plays the whole season because Birchall just likes to fuck with people for no reason.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But look, he had a disappointing year after many expected him to be in the top 10, myself included. But he's at basement price. He's $392K. He's actually a really good price. He could hit the 90 plus average, especially if he takes that, even the quarterback role. Like a quarterback role, Hodge is gone, so maybe he'll now be the one with his good kick to actually start to pinpoint on the way out, and hopefully have some kick-ins. He could average 90 plus, or even on the better end.
It's a ballsy call.
It's a big if, but Hodge gone. They might go, okay, Hodge took all the quarterbacks, so now, okay, it's Witherden's turn to be that person to come out of defence. I don't think it's unrealistic to say he won't average 90. However,
definitely value in
I don't know
draft.
if he's going to be top 10.
Definitely draft value.
Draft value, 100%.
Pick him up at 80. You'll still get him as your last defender.
Yep, basically, I've got down here, for a top 10, he would have to knock out Rich for kickouts.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah. The next one, breakout, last one, is Cam Rayner.
Never going to happen.
I know.
He needs to play midfield if that's ever going to happen, and he's not getting into that midfield.
Wait, he will get a touch in the midfield. If he doesn't lean back when kicking at goals, he could probably average at least 12 more points a game.
He might kick less sprainers.
I'm watching a Rayner for a last draft spot, possibly. And it's only if... No. Because normally his type, the bigger types, the forward explosive types, like your Dustin Martins and stuff,
They take a little bit of
it's
time.
not their third year. It's usually their fourth year they start to show something. So I think it's a year early for him. However, I'm watching him, and I have seen some videos. He went away for a few weeks.
He's got talent. There's no doubt about that.
Well, he went away for a few weeks, and I was expecting him to put on some kilos, but he has dropped some kilos.
Wow.
He's been training down in Victoria. I've seen a couple of videos, so I won't name drop, but
Sweet.
he looks pretty good. So for me, I think it's a year early. Wait for him probably for next year, but keeper leagues or whatever, I think he is a smoky because those guys usually take a year longer than everyone else. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. Draft relevance, rounding out.
Oh, get into it.
Just rounding out. Draft relevance. Steph Martin is draft relevant. Hit outs to advantage 185, but he is 33 years old. 800.
It'd be interesting to see how they start phasing him out of the.
I think it's going to happen.
I
Maybe
think that
Archie will get a run.
It's this year or next year that he stops playing. I mean,
I think it's probably next year.
The good thing with him is he's still got a tank, so he plays a really important link role in the team. So, but maybe they move him to, I don't know, maybe
I think
half forward line.
I think the fact that we have been doing well in the clearances and stuff probably gives him at least another year in doing that. So
fair enough.
The other one, Mitch Robbo, averaged 107.85 his last 7 rounds. 6 scores of 119 plus.
Good old Robbo.
However, how much can you bash and crash, and how long for? I think he could be one, and they love him for his role, but he could easily move from the wing, which was this year, to that half-forward flank role and still kick goals and do that pressure forward stuff. So his role, for me, I'm staying away from him in draft because he did lose the forward status and because his role could change back to a forward line. So I would leave him out. And Charlie Cameron, draft relevant for a forward, and this is why. I mean, yes, he's a Jet, right? But for drafts, he'll either win you a round or he'll lose you a round.
Yeah, so because he'll go 20 or 120.
If you're desperate, he will go. He had 900s, Right, so he had, including a 125, a 117, a 114, 114, 110. But he also had lows of a 38, a 38, a 43, a 46, a 50, a 55, a 60, a 62,
Jesus.
a 65. He's 25
That's a lot
years
of
old.
lows. That's a lot of low scores.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of low lows.
But he averaged, 80 for the year. So, look, he is draft relevant regardless.
Definitely.
And considering he was All-Australian, how do you improve on that besides maybe not being so shit every other round? So, look, keep an eye on that.
Opposition defenses targeting them.
And let me just check my stats. Oh, yep, no, that's it for that one. So,
Fantastic. Well, did you enjoy talking about Brisbane to your heart's content?
Mate, I always do.
Excellent, because the next one's going to be Collingwood, just so you know.
Oh, fuck. You set me up for that.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
No worries. I'll see
Catch
you
soon.
see you in 2 podcast time. Bye.
Bye-bye.